Hey, I'm back. Okay, this is my third vlog, and it's hopefully going to be the most audible and like comprehensive and reasonable one. I've got a list of some things that I want to talk about. Currently, I'm in my room. This is the second vlog that I've been sitting here when I was outside, and you just couldn't hear me for the birds and everything. So I'm doing it in here. But yeah, I don't want to hear any more of that from Braden, really. This is a group channel. It's not his. It's not his to take over. I'm still here. We're going to keep this thing alive, right? Speaking of keeping things alive, there is no reason not to be optimistic about... I mean, there's a lot of reasons not to be optimistic, but none of them are useful. I find trying to stay hopeful about things is just about exactly what I need. And exactly what most people need is to see that in the grand scheme of the world, with how terrible things can get, especially with being with the heightened exposure we get to all of the terrible happenings across the world, you can get really down, and that does no good. It doesn't do any good for you or anyone else to be bummed out. It does. The most useful feeling you can get from that is determination, hopeful determination, and that's all you need. As long as it helps you act. Really, I'm just putting these thoughts together. I might write about them later, but speaking of writing, I've been doing a little bit more short story writing. I'm trying to develop some semblance of a style that's not just regurgitating what I've been reading lately. And speaking of what I've been reading lately, that's Toni Morrison's Beloved, which I'm loving so far. It's really, really distinctive and interesting. Like it's not just, oh, I read that was interesting. It's interesting in a really meticulous way. It's interesting as in, like, I can't stop thinking about how it differs from the actual world, because it's not specifically like realistic fiction. There's a supernatural element to it, and it's kind of horrific almost. I don't know exactly what type of genre it would classify in, like some kind of horror. Maybe we'll see how it develops. I'm only about like 30 to 40 pages in so far, and it's really, really fascinating to me. Yeah, and I'm just gonna keep saying "speaking of" as my segue, because I guess it's kind of funny to have a consistent thing. But speaking of, kind of like fascinating, intricate, almost like borderline creepy, scary stuff, I've been listening to some more like experimental music. Like I've been listening to This Heat, pretty cool experimental bands that I've been enjoying. Found them on Rate Your Music, of course. Listen to their what's the word when the title of the album is the same as the title of the band? Well, their album This Heat from 1979, I've listened to and enjoyed it. And then also a lot of jazz. Listened to some Sonny Rollins, rest in peace. Then I found a nice little email list. And also something that I have been doing on Rate Music is you can filter the charts by only paying attention to ratings from users you've followed, which is something I like to do just to see what people I think are cool on the website think is cool, which is a good way to find new music, especially when you're starting out. But now that I've listened to most of those things that are high on that chart, I've started making an esoteric chart with that same qualifier. And if you don't know, the esoteric charts on Rate Your Music show you highly rated albums with a low number of ratings. So if you're looking for niche things, or things that not many people listen to that are still really well received, that's the way to go. And through that, I found some incredible albums. Like the one that I always use an example is the album by Odun. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's got a insanely high front average and rated a 4.21 out of 5 from like 260 people, which is pretty spectacular. And then the best track on that album has a 4.95. Oh, 4.93 now. Oh no, it's gone down. Oh no. But for a while that had a perfect 5, which is insane for any kind of rating on that site because of how critical people get, and just having a 5-star out of 5-star average is wild. It's really impressive. It's like a 4-hour live album, something like that. I don't know exactly how it was recorded. Yeah, it says it's live here. And the highlight is this 25-minute track, which I'll put in the description maybe. I'll put a link to it in the description. But it is really something spectacular, and I enjoy listening to it a lot. It's very explosive and expressive. But within that little, it's a Japanese album, and something I've noticed is that a lot of people with really cool taste. No, sorry. Let me rephrase this. The people who uploaded this album to the site and to YouTube, I've noticed especially with this one user, APIC, I don't know, ABIC, maybe, but this person has rated very highly a lot of these really niche Japanese jazz music albums. And not only that, but there's like a certain like clique of maybe 10 to 15 users that I follow that all rate these same albums really highly and really, really well. So when I sort by the esoteric charts, like half of the albums I see are albums that that cast of users has specifically rated very highly. And I've enjoyed all of that I've heard. So it's this is one of the ways I like to use the site, is finding a little group of users or a user or two that have cool taste, and then just sorting through the commonalities of what they like. So I look through their 5s, their 4.5s, and bookmark anything that seems interesting. And I have like 200 albums bookmarked at this point. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, looking back to the topic of like optimism I was talking about earlier, there is so much bad news out there that can just completely douse your hope, and make you not feel like doing things is possible, make you feel like all that you contribute to the world will not stop the issues that you care about. And that mindset is so infectious, and it's completely useless. It makes people who live with that mindset take themselves out of the equation, take themselves out of the world that they want to build. And I kind of ponder this when I'm on my own, just lying in bed and thinking, which is, to be honest, a lot of what I do lately. I'm kind of in a transitory period, just waiting for school to start up again so I can get back to Minneapolis and continue my journey of education and contribution. But there is good news to be found if you dig for it. Like the revolutionary protests in Bolivia are something that just fills me with optimism and a sense that change can happen if the collective works towards it, and people that have hope are more likely to be in that kind of collective working. Like, if you're all doom and gloom, you're not gonna have the hope that motivates you to work towards a better future. And another good piece of news, this probably won't be as consequential, but I did hear about a new act introduced into the U.S. House, the American High-Speed Rail Act. It was reintroduced. It was introduced a while ago. Calls for a lot of funding for high-speed rail development and higher-speed rail development across the U.S., and especially with the midterms coming up, which is something else to be hopeful about, even as gerrymandering, redistricting, and voter suppression tries to nullify that hope. It's still something to be hopeful and active about. As the midterms come up and approach, things like this, progressive acts like this, become more feasible, become more possible. Even with the current administration, there are some things that still are able to happen, and it might take a year, it might take 4 years, it might take 10 years, but I think in 10 years, we're going to look back on this point right now and see how far the situation that we've lived in has accelerated. Like solar power is proliferating, wind power is proliferating, nuclear power is coming back. Data centers are being resisted very heavily. I think in New Jersey, there were some rural activists which protested against those successfully. There's a lot to be hopeful for if you look for it. And being hopeful does a lot more good than the opposite. That's something I've had internalized to keep myself sane, really. This is just me rationalizing for my own benefit. Like I'm going back to school in August or September. And I just have to look forward to that and look forward to what I can do there to make my life better and use my life to make other people's lives better. That's the goal. That's why I'm here. That's why I want to be here. That's what I want to do. And it sucks that I have to wait. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to hone my creativity, hone my writing, and just keep things going well at home, provide at home, help around. Tutoring has been going well. I'm helping someone study for their GED exam, which has been a pleasant experience. I had to learn about how to take the GED and things like that, and the topics for that test. And then the thing I'm most immediately looking forward to is next week when I'm free from tutoring. I will have time to maybe take a drive up to the Smokies and hike around there. I don't know exactly how long it's going to go. It might be a day trip. I'll probably buy an annual parking pass just to have that. But it also might be I might camp or do like backcountry camping, do a backpacking trip. We'll see exactly how things go. But I'm looking forward to the future and trying to restructure my thinking as much as I can so that I am looking forward with hope and with positivity. Because if I don't have that, then things tend to spiral out of control. I've realized that having hope and having positivity towards the future is the most helpful thing I can do to myself. And vlogging and talking about it has been a pretty good experience. So I'm glad you listened. Thanks.